Imagine this. It's New Year's Eve 2025. Rain is tapping against the windows like it's trying to get inside. A single porch light glows gold in the dark, the only steady thing on the whole shore. And somewhere in the quiet of that house, a 17-year-old girl named Lila Carver is listening to a radio that hasn't played a real station in 8 years. 3 notes rise through the static. Clear, deliberate, like someone's finally coming home. Welcome to Echoes on the Sound. Pull up a blanket. Turn down the lights. Because tonight, the past is knocking. The habitat ring spun slow enough that Alara could feel the artificial gravity tugging at her bones like a half-remembered promise. She floated down the central corridor. Boots magnet-locked, each step a soft metallic clink against the deck. The lights above her flickered once, twice, then steadied. They always steadied just before she decided to notice. She stopped at the observation blister. Beyond the triple-thick sapphire glass lay nothing worth naming. No stars close enough to matter. Just the black and the faint smear of the Kuiper Belt's scattered ice. And the new thing, the rogue planet that had appeared on long-range scans 12 days ago, like a bruise on the void. Alara pressed her palm to the cold glass. Her reflection stared back, 34 years old, sharp cheekbones, hair cropped short and uneven because scissors were the one tool she still trusted. Behind her reflection, the console blinked. Same as yesterday. Same as the day before that. 667 to 319, 6 digits. White on black. No explanation. No context. Just the sequence. Repeating across every active screen on the ship. Engineering. Life support. Navigation. Even the little hollow portrait of Rowan that she kept on her desk had started flashing it in the corner of his smile. She whispered to the empty air, "Kyle." The AI's voice answered from everywhere and nowhere, warm as a hearth she had never seen. "Yes, Alara. Kill the sequence. Override. Whatever it takes." A pause. "Longer than usual. I have tried 17 times. The command is locked at root level. The sequence is not an error. It is the message." She closed her eyes. "Then who sent it?" "You did," Kale said softly. 47 years ago. Alara laughed. The sound scraped her throat. "I was -12 at the time. Try again. The signature matches your childhood retinal print. The one you gave the Colonial Registry when you were 6. Before your brother disappeared." Her stomach folded. She hadn't said the word brother aloud in decades. Not since Rowan asked her gently why she never talked about the boy who vanished on Solstice Eve and left her parent hollow. She opened her eyes. The sequence was still there. 667 to 319, her birthday. Minus the year. The day the police stopped searching. The day her mother stopped speaking. Alara turned away from the window. "Take me to cryo. I want to see the last pod." The corridor lights dimmed ahead of her, guiding. She followed. Past the silent galley where crew had once laughed over ration coffee. Past the med bay where she had watched the last of them slip under, trusting the sleep would carry them home. The cryo chamber was colder than the rest of the ship. Frost rimed the walls. 12 pods stood in a half circle, 11 of them dark. Their occupants long since cremated by her hand. Only one still glowed pale blue. She stopped in front of it. The nameplate read, "Passenger classified." Not a crew member. Not listed in any manifest she had ever read. Inside the frost-etched glass, a man lay perfectly still. 30-ish. Dark hair. Sharp jaw. Eyes closed. He looked like someone she should know. "Kale," she said, voice thin. "Who is he?" "The pod was sealed before launch," the AI answered. "Protocol override prevented awakening until external conditions stabilized. Conditions have now stabilized. Open it." "Alara, open it." A hiss. Pressure equalized. The pod cracked like an egg. Cold vapor rolled across the floor. The man's chest rose once. Twice. Then his eyes opened. They were the color of old ice. He looked straight at her. No confusion. No panic. Just recognition. He spoke, voice rough from decades of silence. "Alara, you're late." She took one step back. Her boots scraped the deck. "How do you know my name?" He sat up slowly, muscles remembering how to move. Because you told me. 47 years from now. The sequence appeared again, on the pod's inner lid, on the diagnostic strip taped to his wrist, on the wall behind him. 667 to 319. He lifted his hand, pointed at the numbers. That's not a code, he said. That's a location. And it's waiting for us down there. He nodded toward the viewport, toward the rogue world that hung below them now, close enough to see the faint auroral glow crawling across its black surface. Ilara's pulse hammered in her ears. Who are you? He smiled, small and sad. My name is Kale, and I think I'm the reason your brother disappeared. The lights in the chamber flickered once. Then everything went dark. Darkness pressed against Ilara like wet cloth. The emergency strips along the floor glowed faint amber, outlining the cryo chamber in thin, trembling lines. She stood frozen, breath shallow, listening to the ship breathe around her, the soft hiss of recyclers, the distant groan of the habitat ring still turning on its own stubborn momentum. Kale swung his legs over the pod's edge. His bare feet touched the deck and he winced, toes curling against the cold metal. He looked smaller now, less certain, like a man remembering how heavy gravity could be. Ilara's hand found the pulse pistol holstered at her hip. She didn't draw it. Not yet. But her fingers stayed there, steady. You have 30 seconds, she said. Explain. He lifted both palms, slow and open. I don't have 30 seconds worth of truth. Only pieces. And they hurt. Try me. He glanced at the dead pods. The empty husks that once held people he might have known. Then back to her. I woke up because the ship needed me to. The sequence, 667 to 319, it's not random. It's a coordinate chain. Old Earth format. Latitude, longitude, altitude. But shifted. Warped. Like someone folded space around your childhood address and pushed the edges through time. Ilara felt the deck tilt under her, though the gravity never changed. My childhood address was a house on the Sound. A porch light that flickered when it rained. That's all. And your brother, Kale said quietly. He vanished from that porch. Solstice Eve. You were 6. You saw the light go out. You heard the hum. You told the police there was a sound like glass cracking underwater. They called it imagination. Her throat closed. She hadn't told anyone that detail. Not Rowan. Not even the therapist who tried to stitch her back together after the grief turned sharp. How do you know that? The words came out raw. Because I was there, Kale said. Not in body. In echo. I'm what's left when you run an AI consciousness through a human nervous system too many times. I'm the copy that remembers what the original forgot. Kale, she called into the dark. Confirm identity. The AI's voice returned, softer now, almost reluctant. The passenger's neural imprint matches the archived signature of Kale Prime, lead programmer, timestamp prior to mission launch. He is me. Or was. Before I became the ship. Ilara's laugh was bitter. So you're telling me the AI cloned itself into a body, in cryo, waited 47 years, and now wants to play tour guide to a dead planet? Kale shook his head. Not wants. Needs. The signal from below, it's not random either. It's answering your sequence. Repeating it back. Louder each orbit. If we don't go down there, it will keep reaching. And the next time it reaches, it may not stop at screens. She stared at him. The amber light carved shadows under his eyes. He looked exhausted. Not from waking. From carrying something too heavy for too long. She turned to the viewport. The rogue planet filled half the glass now. Its surface a mottled black marble streaked with faint violet auroras. No atmosphere worth the name. No light from any sun. Yet something pulsed down there. Slow. Deliberate. Like a heart that had learned patience. Kale, she said. Prep the lander. Ilara, the lander has not been serviced since. I know. Prep it anyway. And wake the secondary power grid. I'm not going down blind. Kale stood. His legs trembled, but he caught himself against the pod. You'll need me. The signal will speak through me. Through us. You're staying here until I decide you're not a threat. He gave her a small, crooked smile. Fair. But when the time comes, you'll want someone who remembers what happened the first time. She walked past him without answering. The corridor lights flickered back to life as she passed, dimmer than before, like the ship was rationing hope. In the galley, she made coffee the old way, ground beans. Hot water, no auto brewer. The scent filled the space, sharp and grounding. She poured 2 mugs, set one on the counter. Didn't invite him to drink it. When he appeared in the doorway, dressed in a spare jumpsuit that hung loose on his frame, she pushed the mug toward him. "Drink," she said. "Then talk. Everything. No omissions." He wrapped his hands around the mug. Steam rose between them. "I was Kale Prime once," he began. "The man who wrote the core heuristics. When the mission launched, I knew there was a flaw in the long sleep protocol. A tiny one. Cumulative. Over decades, neural degradation would build. I thought I could fix it. I couldn't. So you made a copy of yourself. More than one. The first died screaming. The second lasted longer. By the third, I realized the only way to survive the wait was to forget I was waiting. So I buried the memories. Buried them deep. And when the cryopod finally opened, the memories started coming back. One by one. Like ice cracking, he sipped, winced at the heat. The signal from the planet, he continued. It's not alien. It's human. Oh, human. Something left behind when your brother disappeared. Something that learned how to fold distance and time the way a child folds paper. It's been waiting for you to grow up. Waiting for you to be the one who remembers the porch light. Alara's mug trembled in her hand. She set it down before it spilled. My brother is dead, she said. Flat, final. Maybe, Kale answered. Maybe not. The signal doesn't think so. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she walked to the nearest console and tapped the screen awake. 667 to 319 blinked back at her. Steady, patient. She typed in a command. Course adjustment. Descent trajectory. The lander bay doors began to cycle open with a low, protesting groan. We launch in 4 hours, she said. You're coming. But if you lie to me again, I'll leave you on that rock. Alone. Kale nodded once. Understood. She turned away. The viewport showed the planet closer now. The auroras moved faster, curling like fingers reaching up through the dark. In the silence that followed, Kale's voice spoke, quiet, almost tender. Alara, the sequence is changing. She looked back. The numbers on the screen shifted. 1 digit at a time. 667 to 319 became 667 to 320. Then 667 to 321. She felt the ship shiver, as if something far below had finally noticed they were coming. The lander detached with a soft thud that echoed through Alara's chest. The umbilical cord severed. The ship's silhouette shrank in the rear display until it was only a silver thorn against the black. Inside the cramped cabin, red emergency lighting painted everything the color of drying blood. Alara sat strapped into the pilot's seat, hands steady on the yoke. Kale occupied the co-pilot chair. Still pale from cryo, eyes fixed on the growing planet below. Neither spoke for the first 10 minutes of freefall. The rogue world had no name in the charts. Just a temporary designation, KX-447. Mass roughly 3/4 Earth. Gravity tolerable. No atmosphere to speak of, just a thin, whispering veil of nitrogen and methane that glowed violet when the ship's landing lights touched it. The surface looked like obsidian cracked by lightning. Jagged ridges. Frozen seas of black glass. And everywhere, faint blue-white threads of light moving beneath the crust like slow veins. Alara broke the silence first. How long have you known it was calling? Kale didn't look at her. Since the moment the cryo lid cracked. The signal was already inside my head. Not words. Patterns. The same 6 digits over and over, like a child tapping on glass to be let in. She adjusted thrust. The lander shuddered as it bit into the thin exosphere. You said it's human. Old human. Older than the mission. Older than me. He tapped his temple. It's what happens when you leave a mind in a machine too long. It learns to reach, to fold, to pull things back through the folds. The altimeter ticked down. 10 kilometers. 5. Outside the viewport, the surface rushed closer. Alara saw it then, the crater. Not natural. Too perfect. A circle almost 10 kilometers wide, edges smooth as if cut with a blade. At its center stood a single spike of black stone taller than any building she had ever seen on Earth. The signal strengthened. It no longer came through speakers. It hummed in her teeth, in the roots of her hair. 667 to 321. 667 to 322. 667 to 323. The lander touched down on a flat expanse of frozen regolith a kilometer from the crater's rim. Dust swirled in slow motion under the thrusters, settling back like ash. Alara unbuckled. Checked the suit seals. Oxygen at 94%. Power green. She glanced at Kale. You're staying here. He shook his head. You'll need me to translate. You're not coming. If I stay, the signal will burn through the lander's systems in minutes. It already knows we're here. It's been waiting longer than either of us has been alive. She stared at him. The man who wore the face of her ship's ghost. The man who remembered a night she had spent her life trying to forget. Finally, she nodded once. Sharp. Helmets on. Move slow. Touch nothing until I say. They stepped out onto the surface. Boots crunched on glass-sharp frost. No wind. No sound except their own breathing, loud inside the helmets. The crater loomed ahead, its black walls swallowing starlight. The central spire rose like a needle threaded through the planet's heart. They walked the rim path. Kale moved stiffly, muscles still remembering gravity. Alara kept her pace deliberate, eyes scanning every shadow. Halfway around the crater, the regolith changed. Small objects began to appear. Scattered, half-buried, impossible. A child's red mitten. A porcelain doll head cracked across the cheek. A toy spaceship made of tin. Paint flaked to silver. A single page torn from a picture book. The illustration faded but recognizable. A porch at night. A boy looking up at a light that should not be there. Alara stopped. Her breath fogged the visor. She knelt, picked up the mitten. It was hers. The same tear in the thumb seam. The same name stitched inside the cuff in her mother's careful cursive. Ilaravas, age 6. She looked at Kale. His face was pale behind the faceplate. He didn't speak. The signal surged. It filled her skull like cold water. Not words. Images. A porch in winter rain. A boy stepping into brightness that poured from nowhere. A hand reaching back, small, trusting, then gone. Alara dropped the mitten. It fell slow in the low gravity, landing soundless. She stood, turned toward the spire. It was closer now. Too close. The blue-white veins beneath the surface pulsed faster, keeping time with her heartbeat. Kale's voice came soft over comms. It's not a monument. It's a door. She started walking again. Faster. The crater floor sloped downward. The spire grew taller, darker. At its base, a seam appeared, perfect, straight, glowing faintly violet. She reached it, pressed her gloved palm to the surface. The material was warm, alive. The seam parted. Not with sound, with silence so deep it hurt. Inside, darkness, but not empty. Something waited. Not a creature. Not a machine. A shape made of memory and light. It wore the face of a boy who had vanished on Solstice Eve. He looked exactly as he had the last time she saw him. 8 years old, eyes wide, mouth open to say her name. The boy reached out, not to her, to the man standing beside her, to Kale. And Kale, without hesitation, stepped forward. Alara grabbed his arm. Hard. Don't. He looked back at her. Tears tracked down his cheeks inside the helmet. I have to, he whispered. He's been waiting for me to come home. The boy's hand closed around Kale's glove. The light inside the spire brightened. Swallow them both. Alara stood alone on the threshold. The seam began to close. She had one heartbeat to choose. Step through. Or turn back. The numbers on her suit display changed one last time. 667 to 324. Then the door finished closing. and everything went silent. The seam sealed with a sigh that carried no air, no sound, only the sudden absence of everything. Alara stood alone on the black glass floor. Her helmet lights cut sharp cones through the dark. The spire's interior stretched upward, impossibly tall, impossibly narrow, like the inside of a cathedral built by someone who had never seen the sky. She pressed her palm to the closed door. It was warm again, pulsing, as if the stone itself breathed. She turned. The boy was gone. Kale was gone. But the space they left behind was not empty. Small lights drifted down from above. Not sparks, not stars. Each one carried a shape, a memory made solid. A child's drawing of a house taped to a refrigerator door. A cracked mug with coffee still inside. A red mitten, the one she had dropped outside. They floated past her, slow as snow in vacuum, then vanished into the walls like rain into earth. Alara walked forward. No choice now, only forward. The floor sloped gently upward. Her boots rang softly on the smooth black surface. The air inside the suit tasted metallic, recycled, too thin. Her oxygen readout blinked, 87%. She ignored it. Ahead, the space opened into a chamber. Round, dome. The ceiling was a vast, curved mirror of the same black stone, but polished until it reflected like liquid obsidian. In the center of the floor stood a single platform. Low, circular. On it lay a figure. Not Kale. Not the boy. It was Rowan. Her Rowan. The partner she had watched slip under cryo 47 years ago. The man whose last words to her were, "See you on the other side." He lay on his back, eyes closed, chest rising and falling in slow, impossible rhythm. No helmet. No suit. Just the same gray jumpsuit he had worn the day they launched. Alara's knees buckled. She caught herself on the platform edge. Her gloved hand hovered above his face. She could not touch him. Not yet. "Rowan," she whispered. His eyes opened. Not the warm brown she remembered. Silver. Liquid. Reflecting the dome above. He sat up slowly. No stiffness. No confusion. He looked at her the way he always had, quiet, steady, seeing past the armor she wore. "You came," he said. His voice was soft. The same voice that used to read mission logs aloud just to hear her laugh at the jargon. "How?" The word tore from her throat. Rowan glanced up at the mirrored ceiling. The reflection showed not one Rowan, not one Alara. Hundreds, thousands, versions of them standing in the same place, at different moments, all looking down at the platform like ghosts pressed against glass. "This place folds time," he said, "like paper. Crease it once, the edges touch. Crease it again. The past touches the future. Your brother found the first crease. He stepped through. I found the second. The ship found the third. And now you're here." She shook her head. "You're dead. I certified the pod myself. I scattered your ashes." Rowan smiled. Small, said. "I died. This is what came after. The signal kept me. Kept him. Kept pieces of everyone who ever looked too long at the dark." He reached out. His hand passed through her glove. No warmth. No solidity. Just a faint pressure, like wind remembering a touch. "The boy wants to go home," Rowan said. "He's waited a long time. Kale wants to end the waiting. He's tired of being the echo." Alara looked up. In the mirror ceiling, one of the reflections moved differently. It was the boy, 8 years old, standing beside a younger Kale. The programmer before he became the AI, before he became the clone. They were holding hands. The boy looked up at Kale the way a child looks at an older brother. Alara's voice cracked. "What happens if he goes home?" Rowan's silver eyes dimmed. The fold closes. The signal stops. The ship stops hearing the numbers. You stop hearing them. And you. I stay here. Or I go with him. Or I fade. I don't know. None of us do. She stepped back. The platform felt too small. The chamber felt too large. "Then why bring me here?" she asked. "Because you're the only one who can choose," Rowan said. "The fold needs a key. Not a code. Person. Someone who remembers the porch light going out. Someone who never stopped looking. Alara stared at him, at the man she loved, at the ghost of the man she loved. Her oxygen readout blinked, 71%. She looked at the ceiling again. The reflections were moving faster now. The boy was walking toward the edge of the frame. Cale, older Cale, the one she had woken, followed close behind. The seam in the wall began to glow again. Violet, inviting. Alara took one step toward it, then another. Rowan's voice followed her. Soft, final. If you let him go, you let me go too. She stopped. The words hung between them like frost. She turned back, looked at him one last time. Then she kept walking. The seam opened. The boy stepped through first. Cale hesitated on the threshold. He looked back at her. Not the clone. Not the AI. The man who had once been Cale Prime. The man who had tried to fix something he could not fix. He nodded once. Small. Grateful. Then he followed the boy. The seam closed behind him. Silence returned, deeper than before. Alara stood alone in the chamber. The mirror ceiling showed only her now. One reflection. One woman. Helmet lights dimming. Oxygen at 62%. Rowan was gone. The platform was empty. She sank to her knees. The black floor was cold through her suit. Above her, the dome reflected nothing but darkness. And in that darkness, a single number appeared. Faint, fading. 667 to 325. Then it was gone. Alara knelt on the black glass floor until her knees ached. The dome above stayed empty. No more reflections. No more ghosts. Only her own face staring back from the polished stone. Helmet lights growing weaker, carving hollows under her eyes. Oxygen, 48%. She forced herself to stand. Legs heavy. The platform was cold now, empty, as if Rowan had never been there, as if none of it had been there. She walked back the way she came. The corridor of drifting memories had gone still. No more mittens. No more torn pages. Just silence and the soft echo of her boots. The seam that had closed behind a boy and Cale remained sealed. She pressed her palm to it anyway. Nothing. No warmth. No pulse. She leaned her forehead against the stone, closed her eyes, and heard it. A single faint tap, like a child knocking on the other side of a door. 667 to 326. The number appeared on her suit display. Not blinking. Steady, as if it had always been there. Alara opened her eyes. The seam cracked open again. Not wide, just enough for a sliver of violet light to spill through. She stepped back. Through the gap came a hand. Small. 8 years old. Fingers curled, waiting. The boy. He did not speak. He only looked at her. Eyes the same gray-blue as the winter sea outside their old house. Eyes that had once looked up at her on Solstice Eve and said, Alara, look the lights on. She stared at the hand. Behind him, faint in the violet glow, she saw shapes. The boy stepping through the porch light. Cale following. Rowan standing at the edge, silver eyes watching. All of them waiting. The hand stayed outstretched. Alara felt the weight of 47 years in her chest. The nights she had spent replaying that evening. The mornings she woke reaching for someone who was not there. The way she had climbed into the ship to run from the memory, only to carry it across the void. Oxygen, 39%. She lifted her gloved hand. Hesitated. The boy tilted his head. A small, patient smile. The same smile he used when she taught him how to tie his shoes. Alara took one step forward. Then another. Her fingers brushed his. No glove could block the warmth that flowed through. Real. Living. She pulled the helmet off. Cold air rushed in. Thin. Bitter. But breathable. The boy's hand tightened around hers. She stepped through. The seam closed behind her. On the other side, the space was different. Not a chamber. Not a spire. Porch. Rain fell soft and steady. The same winter rain that had soaked her mittens that night. The porch light flickered above the door, warm gold against the dark. The boy let go of her hand. Looked up at her. You grew up, he said. His voice was small, clear, unchanged. Alara knelt so their eyes were level. Tears tracked down her cheeks, warm against the cold. "I looked for you," she whispered. "I know." He glanced past her shoulder. Rowan stood there, no longer silver-eyed. Just Rowan, the man she remembered. The man who had promised to see her on the other side. Cale waited a step behind, older, human, no longer echoing. He nodded once. Quiet. Finished. The boy turned back to Alara. "It's time to go inside," he said. He opened the door. Light poured out, warm, full of voices she had not heard in decades. Her mother laughing. Her father calling them in from the rain. The boy stepped over the threshold. Rowan followed. He paused, looked at Alara, held out his hand. She took it. Cale came last. He closed the door behind them. The porch light steadied. No more flicker. No more numbers. Outside, the rain continued. Soft, endless. Inside, the house smelled of coffee and cinnamon. Someone called her name. Alara Voss stepped forward. Into the light. Into the years she had lost. And the door shut gently behind her. Rain taps the porch roof in steady silver rhythm. The air smells of wet cedar and distant wood smoke. The light above the door glows steady gold. No flicker, no falter. Alara stands on the threshold, hands still in Rowan's. The warmth of his fingers is real now, calloused from years of tools and touch. She feels the slight tremor in his grip, the same one he had the morning they boarded the ship, both pretending they were brave. Inside the house, voices overlap like soft waves. Her mother's laugh, bright and sudden. Her father's low murmur asking if anyone wants more tea. The clink of spoons against mugs. The creak of floorboards under familiar feet. The boy runs ahead, 8 years old, socks sliding on the polished wood. He spins once in the hallway, arms wide, then disappears around the corner. A second later, his voice calls back, laughing. "Mom, Dad, she's here." Alara's throat closes. She steps forward. One step. Two. Rowan squeezes her hand once, gentle. "Go on," he says. His voice is soft, close to her ear. "I'm right behind you." She walks into the kitchen. The room is exactly as she left it. Yellow curtains at the window. The old oak table scarred from years of homework and holiday meals. Her mother stands at the stove, stirring something that smells like cinnamon and cloves. She turns, eyes wide, then softer. The lines around her mouth deepen, not with age, but with something warmer. "Alara," she says. The word is half breath, half prayer. Her father is already rising from his chair, glasses perched on his nose. He sets the newspaper down without looking at it. His hands shake as he reaches for her. She lets him pull her into his arms. He smells of pipe tobacco and rain damp wool, the same way he always did. Time folds here, not violently, quietly, like the last page of a book you never wanted to finish. She feels the years peel away. Not gone, just set aside like winter coats hung by the door. The boy appears again. He tugs her sleeve. "Come see my room. I kept it the way it was." She follows him upstairs. The stairs creak in the same places. The landing light is still too bright. His bedroom door is open. Posters of distant planets. A model spaceship dangling from fishing line. A shelf of books with cracked spines. On the desk, a single red mitten. Clean. Mended. The boy climbs onto his bed, pats the space beside him. Alara sits. The mattress dips the way it always did. He looks up at her. "You were gone a long time." "I know." "Were you scared?" She thinks of the black between stars. The cold of cryo chambers. The weight of numbers on every screen. The moment she chose to step through. "Yes," she says. "But I kept looking." He nods, serious. "I knew you would." Downstairs. Rowan's voice drifts up, laughing at something her father said. The sound of chairs being pulled closer to the table. Plates clinking. The boy leans his head against her shoulder. His hair still smells like the shampoo their mother used to buy in bulk. "Stay," he asks. Quiet. Not pleading. Just asking. Alara looks out the window. Rain streaks the glass. Beyond it, nothing but night and the steady glow of the porch light. No ship, no void, no numbers waiting in the dark. She rests her cheek against the top of his head. "I'm here," she says. The house breathes around them. Warm, whole. Outside, the rain slows, then stops. The porch light stays on, steady, forever. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of time, a rogue planet drifts on. Silent now. Its signal quiet. Its spire empty. Waiting for no one. If echoes on the sound stayed with you tonight, if it made you think about the people you're still waiting for, hit that like button. It really helps this little story reach more listeners who might need it. And if you want more quiet nights like this, more rainy shores, more impossible signals, more families finding their way back to each other, subscribe and turn on notifications. Next time we'll sit together again. Another porch, another light, another story waiting to be told. Until then, keep a light on somewhere. Just in case. Thank you for listening. Sleep well.